okay, I decided I better add a little more on the Windows portion. They do go through all the server stuff, and then I'm not gonna really dig into that on the history of that. But we're going to take a look at Windows 8 and what the problem was there. So let me share my screen. Windows 8. Now, we're getting to the point where a lot of you don't know what the problems were with Windows 8, why they did it at all. Oh my goodness. So I'm just going to show you a picture real quick. Oh, I should leave that for the Linux. Yeah, let's do Windows 8. So I would invite you, if you really want to see what the problems were, look up my dad uses Windows 8, something like that. And you'll see tons of videos that show you what the problem was with Windows 8. Windows 8 had I'm telling you, it had a great operating system interface, GUI. This is what it looked like. And you can kind of tell that, well, let's just look at Windows 7 real quick. This is a huge jump, right? So over the years, basically what was happening to Microsoft is they were really starting to get slammed. I really like the Windows 7 interface with the error. That's what they called it. Anyway, this is definitely different, right? This is definitely a different interface than Windows 8. And what was happening behind the scenes is that basically Microsoft was constantly just stealing stuff. And we'll look at that when we talk about Mac OS X. And so they were constantly being told they were not innovative. And things started to change, right? So everything starts to shift mobile in about 2006. And you need to understand that mobile existed way before that. You go back in mobile, you're talking about 1998, 99, 2000, 2001. That's really where when I'm not talking about a notebook, I'm talking about using your phone or a tablet or something. It goes way far back, but it began to be majorly accepted in 2006 to 2010, hugely. And so they're being accused of, you just steal crap, that's all you do. Everything that comes out in your new Windows version came from Mac OS and by now Linux, right? It came from one of those places. You people don't know what you're doing. They start really getting hammered by that. And so you see that what they bring out is this very innovative interface that's all these tiles. And it really was. These tiles, and you can still do this, are active. So you could have these active tiles and none of that really caught on. But this is showing me the weather right there. And so I could click and go to my start and I would see all this active information. You can get one for Facebook, you get one for all sorts of stuff. And it would show you information before you even went into the application, which, that's pretty cool. So they had that portion of, hey, you want innovative, we'll give you innovative, right? They did that. And then they had another situation that honestly the tech industry doesn't talk too much about because they don't like to talk about it. And that is things were switching to tablets. And what I mean by that is things were switching to the iPad. So you'll often see, oh, they'll switch to mobile and they'll talk about tablets, but they really don't want to piss off Google, so they don't really talk about Apple. And really what happened is that Microsoft had created a mobile operating system, a tablet style operating system a long time ago. It was actually called Windows XP Tablet Edition. That's what it was called. But it was really just Windows XP with some stuff slapped on it. It wasn't a redo of an operating system. And, a lot of people saw this as innovative, and there was parts of it that really were, and then parts of it aren't. This interface is very straightforward, right? Look at that interface, and then look at this. Will probably pull up something. They actually call them systems. But this pulled up 9. Here's 9. So it's icons, right? All you're doing is just clicking icons. And so in that way, the iPad was not innovative. It was just like, this is what we've been doing since 1984. The difference in it was that the touch interface all worked. The voice worked very well. Apple kind of applied the principle that they always had, which is we're not going to release something unless it really works well. So I know that in today's current situation, when you talk about operating systems, everything I've said is just like, he's gushing over Apple. He loves them and nobody else. Oh no, there's tons of things I'll tell you in a little while with all the things I hate about Apple. But they did do that. Like their iPod, when that came out, it worked. I experienced it. I didn't want to buy an Apple iPod, for heaven's sakes. Why would I want to do that? You know, I actually bought a Sony, right? I got a Sony. Sony is awesome. Sony makes great stuff. At least at that time they did. They still make great stuff. I'd actually get a Sony phone now. But anyway, but it had trouble. Like it would lose playlists, it would lose songs, but they were all there, but it couldn't find them. It was just so frustrating. How can it be that crappy, right? Get an iPod. Oh, wow, it just does it. It just works. And the same thing with their iPad. It's like, this just works. Well, Microsoft didn't think this was going to be a big deal. After all, they had brought one out back in 2001. I think it was 2001. Might have been two. And now this one's being brought out. What you see on the screen here has been brought out in 2010. And then boom. I mean, they're just selling millions. They were selling so many that when they brought out the iPad 2, which this looks like the iPad 2, they asked people coming in to buy them, what are you using this for? Right? It's like, we're selling so many of these. What are people doing with them? We don't know. And so, as a matter of fact, this got labeled as, oh, that's just going to be a great media player. People will buy them to watch movies. That's what it'll be. They'll watch movies and they'll play music. And that's where Amazon got the idea for their Kindle. They're like, right? And they're just like, hey, that's a good idea. Instead of making a computer replacement, which is what an iPad is, we'll just make a really cheap one that you just play games and watch movies off of, right? It's our media consumption device. And that's what we're selling. That'll fit right in, right? Those Kindle Fires are probably the second biggest tablets that are out there. So really what you had is PC sales had been slumping for a long time. The only progression in PC sales were in notebooks. So they would kind of dip up and go down and dip up. So people were still buying notebooks, but the actual desktop PCs, they weren't buying them. But all of a sudden, iPads come out and everybody's buying these. What the heck? Okay, so that's the background. That is basically why you get 8. Microsoft looked, they admitted to this, they looked, I think that's cool. But anyway, they looked at the situation and they said, we own 80% of the world market. If these people are switching from that desktop that's slammed in the corner that they have to sit at to a tablet they can use on their couch, we can force them to use this interface that is hugely great for a tablet. This is perfect for a tablet. The squares are bigger. Everything was developed for swipes and all that stuff was all built in. They rearranged everything and we'll force it on our public. We'll make them upgrade from 7 to 8, which is what they did. So they went 7, nobody was going to 8. Nobody liked it. And so what they did was say, you know what, we're going to kill 7. We're going to kill it. So right now you can get 8 for free. You better do it. Right? They really had this really heavy-handed approach. They had thought over all the many years that people were choosing Windows because they liked it. They didn't realize that people were choosing Windows because of the applications that were on it. That's very, very apparent. And then they didn't learn that until they made this mistake with 8, where they made this operating system and people are like, who is Microsoft? And I'm telling you, right, Microsoft used to be the Google name. So Microsoft used to be, oh, Microsoft made that? Oh, I got to check that out. That's going to take over the world. Now that's Google. Google does that now. But back then it was Microsoft. And this was the final nail in the coffin for Microsoft as being the innovator. They made something incredibly innovative, but they smashed people in the head with it and said, you will use it. So why? So we can get the tablet market. So that you'll buy our tablet, you'll become familiar with this interface and you'll get our tablet instead of Apple's tablet, right? You won't do that. Right? What they could have done is what I showed in the Mac, the first Mac video. was, right, you just click that little launch pad and now it looks like an iPad. They could have done that. They could have had this OS that you see right here on the screen, this interface on the screen, and just said, hey, we're going to upgrade your Windows 7, and you can now click this button and you get this interface. And that way they would have provided an easy transition that cared about their customers. Now, just in case you think this is all weird and fake, you go back if you want to do some research and look at what Dell was saying. See, Dell is a big PC manufacturer, and as those iPad sales just went through the roof, people that invest were looking and saying, Dell, why is your stuff just falling apart? Why aren't you getting that kind of sales? What's happening to you? Oh, well, we're not just selling PCs, we're a solutions provider. HP did the same thing. As a matter of fact, HP made an awesome, they actually kind of bought this, but they made an awesome, they bought this web OS and made an awesome tablet out of it. It was really, really cool. Web OS now is on LG TVs. That's where they came to. But let me put a tablet on here. But it was such a hard thing for the industry that HP made, like, I mean, a year after the iPad comes out, HP makes a tablet with its own OS on it that it basically bought. It was awesome. Thing was awesome. And then they weren't getting enough sales in the market, and they just said never mind, and they quit doing it and went in a different direction. The only thing that was going to save anybody was going to be Android. Android was going to be put on tablets, and so they started slamming those on tablets. But the sales never were there. They never increased. So Dell had a tablet that had Android on it. HP started doing tablets with Android on it, but they didn't get the sales that the iPad did because there were some fundamental differences. There were some things happening there behind the scene. But back to the point, that changed how how Microsoft was dealing with things. They lost a ton of respect through Windows 8. They quickly came out with Windows 10, which was a hybrid of those two things, and said there will never be another operating system because on a Mac system, you just have Mac OS and it gets updated. So they're like, we're never going to do it. That's only going to be Windows 10. And then a little while later, they said, oh, here's Windows 11. Now I'm running Windows 11 here, and I can tell you, I didn't know why, honestly, I didn't know why Microsoft made Windows 11. I thought, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to go for Windows 10 is your lower end stuff, and Windows 11 is going to have all the cool stuff? No, this is a competitor to Chrome OS. That's what this is. So what does that tell you that's going on? That tells you that Chrome OS is gaining more. Whoops, Chrome OS. That's okay, got it. Chrome OS is gaining more speed. It's gaining more popularity. It's becoming something that people are choosing. And again, that's because Google makes it, right? I tell students all the time, Google is the name. If they crap on a brick, then people go, let's go buy that, or let's go use it. It's free. Chrome OS doesn't look any different than what an iPad looked like. It doesn't look any different than most versions of Linux. But this is all browser-based. This is all in a browser, in Chromium browser. That's where this is running. And most of you that have dealt with Chromebooks know, it's great for taking notes. And that's about it, because it doesn't have that full compatibility. So see, that's a different target. That's a different target than you got iPad. People are going, I'm looking for easier apps, but I want them to be powerful and do what I want them to do. And I'm willing to not use Windows. Then you've got Windows that now this is going to be on their tablets, right? This is going to be there. And again, I've got that changed. So this is what it's going to, oh, you can't see that over there. Sorry. Different screen. It only pops up over there. So this is going to be on their tablets, trying to get people, again, a slight nicer way of saying, don't buy a Chromebook, just get ours. And look, it looks so easy and straightforward, just like Chrome does, just like iOS does, just like Linux does. But that's Microsoft's problem, right? How do you disconnect from all the things you've done over the last 40 years? And there's so many people that want to stay with what was done 20 years ago. And then you got a whole new group of people that don't want to do that. And that's the younger generation. And they're not choosing you because you're not the way that they want it done. And that's a big problem for them. And so Windows 11 is an answer to, hey, don't pick Chrome, come and use us instead. Modifying how it works, modifying what settings you get to, modifying, the different stuff that's going to pop up on the side and all those little things. And the honest truth is, yeah, I wouldn't ever recommend to anybody to get a Chromebook. That's just like, you can run everything that a Chromebook can run on a Windows machine. So just get the Windows machine and then you have the best of both worlds. Then people say, oh, well, that's cheaper. No, it's not. You get a crap Chromebook and you're not going to be satisfied with it. If you buy one that's around $600, then why didn't you just buy a Windows computer? That's the same deal. Anyway, so that's Windows 8 that they talk about, and the fact that it was just really kind of an awesome interface, but they just forced people to use that and then had to come back and go, whoops, okay, here's Windows 10. And it's a cross between 7 and 8, and that equals 10. And that's where they lost a lot of that too. So anyway, it's interesting to me. Hopefully it's at least partly interesting to you.